So today I wanted to check back in. We're getting pretty settled into the farm life, and I wanted to show you the chicken coop I just finished building. The last video I was working inside the Airstream. There's a little introduction to what we're going to be doing today. We have one rooster out of the pack. It was kind of a mistake situation where we ordered all hens, but it turned out to be one rooster. So let me give you the tour and show you all the different accessories and different things I put in place for safety, for predator proof, that kind of thing. Let me just show you around. There was a structure here already. That was this here. So there was already a structure with two walls and these metal posts there. So what I did was I went ahead and added two walls to make it a four-wall thing. That's going to be that's actually the coop part. And then I've made these, which are the nesting boxes. So I've got a couple locks on them for the predator proofing. And this side also. Oh, got some eggs in there. One of them likes to sleep in there, so we got a lot of poop in there. I'll get those eggs out in a minute. But what I've got here, you can kind of see, I just get some simple 1x3 situation. Made a frame. I put my siding, a piece of the siding on the outside there, and I put my hinges and everything. A little handle, little chain to keep it from going down too far on the hinges, and that's essentially it. Now the nesting boxes themselves, I used mostly 2x2. You can see here 2x2, 2x2, 2x2. A couple pieces I did 2x3. Like that, but this is a 2x2 also. But I just built the frame, and here's a better look at the framing. And you can see I use the cedar fence planks for the bottom. Actually, you know, you start out just built the bottom frame, top frame. I did a little angle action. I got some shingles from the Home Depot. Okay, made that up. Here's a better look at the nesting boxes from the inside. They jump up there. Did a bit of research where you're supposed to put them like 18 to 20 inches from the ground. That way they can jump up into it. I painted it black. I still got to do some additional painting. But there's the nesting boxes there, 6 spots. Do a little research, you'll see that each nesting box needs to be about 12 by 12 square, 12 by 12 by 12 cube actually. Okay, let's move over here. Built a door. That's like a fencing plank situation. And I doubled it up like a little sandwich. So I put my wire in the sandwich piece, and then I screwed it all together. Let's see if I can show you. So on this side I've got all my screw holes. And then everything's sandwich. And then I found that these things work great in the wire, cable, with the tension to keep it from sagging. Because when I first put it together, it did have a bit of a sag. So as soon as I put that cable in there, it works like freaking, works awesome. So what else do we talk about for the exterior? Let's talk about the roofing. It's like that plastic corrugated roofing. And this one is like a tinted. This one's a tinted situation. So I framed this out using 2x4s. First off, the foundation of this thing I built using these, there's like little deck plate things you can kind of see down there. They're like deck and shed footing support blocks. And I put the 4x4 treated lumber there, and then these 2x6s I've got across as my cross beams. And then on top of that I built my framing with 2x4s throughout. And I just measured different heights to make a bit of a slope. Well, I did all of this the same height, the whole 3 sides. But then what I did was I added this little, I think they call them like a pony wall or something like that. So I could get the roof at an angle, and I wanted to meet. That was, like I said, this was existing. That was existing roof. So I wanted to meet that there, go at an angle, come down with the tinted plastic corrugated coming down. You'll see more of these. I got every like 5 feet I've got these support post deals going through, and I got different heights and stuff because of the level this side goes down a bit down the hill. So I've got these. This is a better look at this, how it works. You got a concrete block underneath. Got that there. Okay. I tied them together with 2x2s in the corners. And anyhow, that's the 2x4 framing structure. And then I've used this hardware cloth, 1-inch hardware cloth I used for this part. That's mostly because I wanted to be able to see. And then we've got 1/2-inch hardware cloth for the bottom, which is kind of the safety net deal for the predators. So I'll show you more of that. I've even put a ground anchor here that goes way down into the ground just to keep it more solid on the ground from any high winds and whatnot. All right, so coming over here, you'll see what I've done with the 1/2-inch hardware cloth all the way around, not just around the edges, but actually under. So each one of these here, I started the hardware cloth, it's like 4 feet wide. So it'd be like from here to here, and it goes all the way down, over, up, and attaches there, attaches there, attaches there. And I did the same here, over, attaches, attaches. So the entire unit is completely secured underneath from any kind of digging, because what we get around here, a crazy amount of digging with weasels, ground squirrels, gophers, everything you can think of, really tears up the entire property. So I really wanted to protect against any kind of ground burrowing animal predator. I guess the weasels actually will go in and eat eggs and actually will kill chickens. And the hardware cloth I found on Amazon, I found that to be the best place to get this hardware cloth. And it's really heavy duty, so some of the stuff you get is really kind of crappy. So this one I found that is quite heavy duty. I think this was all 16 gauge. So a lot of the stuff on Amazon is 19 gauge, which I think would be really too thin and crappy. So definitely go for 16 gauge. All right, so that's kind of the structure. I did some extra support here, some 45-degree angle, so now it's really secure. You can also see along the bottom, I've put some large rocks along the entire perimeter. So let's step inside and I'll show you some of the more detailed aspects of it. So for the hardware cloth, I use screws with large washers. You kind of can see, I painted them black along with the walls there. I'll see if I can find here's some that aren't painted. So for the 1/2-inch hardware cloth, watch it. A little noisy in here, but for the 1/2-inch hardware cloth, I use smaller washers, and then for the 1-inch hardware cloth, I did that. So I've got this ladder. I bought it off of Facebook Marketplace for like $10. It's just an old wooden ladder, but they love to jump up on there. There's one there. But they'll go all the way up, to be honest. And they hang out there throughout the day. Right now, I've caught them at a good time because it's in the morning. Oh, here we go. So you'll see them climbing up. It's the morning time, so they're very active. Whenever it gets hotter, they tend to go and pretty much lay around all day. All right, here's the swing I mentioned. They like this. It was kind of interesting because I had to put it up a ways, because otherwise if they actually jump on it and the thing swings, it'll hit somebody else in the face. So I had to make sure I put the swing above kind of the eye line of everybody. So we've had a little bit of you can tell some picking on each other with all these feathers, and I can actually see some of my hens have so let me interrupt just for a minute and explain what's happening. I was just talking about the pecking and the bullying going on, and this one today, one of my little Polish hens was getting quite roughed up by the bigger chickens. Let's see if I can show you. And so I had to separate this little one. What's happening is my Polish chickens are smaller. I think they're known as being kind of smaller than full-size chickens. So what's happening is, check this out, quite bad with kind of bloody and everything. So I'm going to clean that up. But you can also see on my smallest Polish, you can see here, was getting pretty roughed up in the tail area and also on the top of the head. And what I read was that the larger chickens, they don't really like these Polish chickens because they kind of look so weird and like unusual that they're not used to, and so they'll attack the head and stuff. So I'm a little nervous about what's happening with these guys. Hopefully they can work it out. Hopefully my rooster kind of starts controlling things. We'll see. But I have this like wound care. Grab this guy here. So it was actually getting really attacked this morning, so ooh, not good. I'm gonna spray some of that wound care. Okay. So what I've done was I've separated this one out and I've given it some extra food and water, and hopefully within a day or two I can check on that wound and see if it's healed. All right, let's get back to the coop tour. Here we go. Here's our rooster. Yep, how you doing? Oh, caught you. All right, so let's keep talking. Ceiling roof was interesting. I had this, I put another post here in the middle, 4x4 treated lumber. I then connected it with this 2x4 using these, what are these things called? Like joist hangers, or they're Simpson hangers or something like that. I got one here, I got these hangers. And I got a 2x6 that goes across the whole way, attached to the metal that was already here. And then with that, I got these 2x4s going across. These I've just added to the roof to be able to have more connection points for the plastic roof so it doesn't blow off in the wind. But that'll give you a good idea of how I did the roof. This one's still up there, hanging out. Okay, let's talk about some of the other features. So I have this automatic door I got off Amazon that actually is great. It was a kind of a regular, it wasn't like a high end, it was just a very basic, but I made sure to get the large size, which I can't even imagine what the small size must be, because this one is really the ideal size. I wouldn't want to go any smaller than that. And what it does is you set the little timer, and you can get it to go up and down at whatever time you set. So I've got mine set for 6:30 a.m. for the opening and 8:10 p.m. for the closing. And they'll go in there whenever it starts getting dark. And the door operates with a battery, but it's rechargeable with solar. You can see I got the wire going right there, and I've got my solar panel right there. So that's all it takes. It's very minimal need for the charging. I've got my one of the watering that they don't like too much. This style, I've found that they don't really go for that. They have to peck into this and then the water comes out. They're not that into that one. They are really into this, just very basic. It's just a regular waterer. So yeah, they like that one. So let's step in. I use this glass door just to let in more light, and the reason I have that is because we took it off the house when we did the remodeling, so I had that extra sitting around, and I was able to frame that into my wall here. And like I said, I added this wall and I added that wall, but there were two existing walls, those metal corrugated, that was there already. So this is what's going on inside the coop. It's really just a matter of, I usually leave this closed at all times. This goes open, that's how they go in and out. Now at night they go in, they sit on their roost. I built this ladder roost situation just out of 2x4s. I've got 4 rungs. They always seem to go to the top of the ladder for sleeping. All right, so from the inside, like I said, I gotta get a better method, I think, but I just have a tarp down here that catches the poop at night, and then every few days I'll dump that tarp. But they'll even, I mean, you can see here, they sleep a lot on this rail. Oh, so let me explain the interesting little tidbit of this coop. Whoever built this thing before, they didn't want to, I guess, like mess up the fencing, so they left the fence in place and they just made the structure around the fence. So I left it in place, but I just had to do some extra reinforcement of the hardware cloth to make some safety stuff, so that every little inch of this place that has, you know, an inch of space, I've put that extra hardware cloth to make sure nothing can crawl through. And then in here I've got other watering containers here. Water container, food container. I like this method. It seems to be good. They still waste a bit if you can see it on the ground, but what they'll do is they'll put their head in there and then they'll go for the food, and that's how they eat. And they have another food there. It's just a hanging. That's kind of just one left over from when they were all babies, so I just continue using that one. Just got some makeshift steps, that way it's a little closer to the ground, so they step up on that block, step up on the door to exit, and then there's another block on the other side. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I had to put wire everywhere there was a little bit of space. I put more of that hardware cloth. I don't know if you can see, there we go. And that's the same for over there. Here's our rooster. This guy's hilarious looking. And then, so what we've got here, these are called barred rock, I think they're called. That has a really beautiful coloring on the sides. I like that. Black and white kind of deal. This one is, I think, an Easter egger. You see how they have that beard going on with the face? Those are kind of a unique breed. They lay like the green or blue eggs. I have another one here, which is this black one. You see the beard? Now the one with a little poof on the head, those are Polish chickens. I got a couple of those. I actually had a couple more, but they died within the first week of me having them. This one's the one that's getting a little bit beat up, you can see. Unfortunately, I got to figure out, kind of make sure that it's not a major injury going on. And then these are called golden laced Wyandottes, I believe. Gold laced Wyandottes, beautiful coloring. Hey, look at this guy's legs, like shiny legs. I'm not sure what this one is, the blue, gray. I think it might be another one of these like Easter egg or olive egger, I think it's this one, which has the olive eggs. There's another golden lace Wyandotte. We've got a buff Orpington right here. We've got two of those. This one is called a like golden comet or something. A golden comet. So all of these three here are probably, let's say, 6 months old, and they're already laying eggs. Maybe a little bit older. 8 months old, laying eggs. All the other ones that are small here, they were only born in like May. So they're like 4 months old, and they're not yet laying eggs. They're about to. And then we have our oldest hen in the group from my original batch ever. This white Silkie is one of the only is the only original, and she was from the original batch that we had like 7 years ago. So she's 7 years old. So she's the grandma of the group, no longer laying eggs. But yeah, everybody else is less than a year old, and a lot of egg laying going on from these that are like 8 months old. So anything else? I got to do a little better paint job here. I just did an initial coating. It's pretty junky, but I'm going to go through and do some more painting to polish it up. So that is, I'll close this door. And like I said, inside here, everywhere that goes across, I've got 2x6s held up by these little nubby post deals. And then again, in here, more of the wiring goes all the way over like carpeting. So the wiring is all the way throughout, like carpeting. Oh yeah, the other thing the other detail was that the bottom here is all sand. and I had a friend of mine with a trailer, so we went and took the entire trailer filled with sand. I think it was like 3 tons of sand, and then I shoveled it all in here. So it's probably 3 inches thick of this sand. I think they call it construction sand or something like that, or concrete sand. So it's a bit of a thicker grain, which I think is perfect. Yeah, that's the chicken coop. So that's the tour of the chicken coop. Trying to think if I left anything out. A lot of detail went into that thing. So there's a lot of stuff to explain. But I think I did most of it. I mean, it took forever to do this thing. I mean, it took a couple of months worth of work on it, several days a week to finish this thing. But the framing of the outside was not that difficult. Really the craziest part, what took the most time and the craziest amount of work, was actually all the wiring down below to do my sort of carpet of wire. But yeah, they like it, and I like to be able to have more space. The one I had in Orange County at our house in the backyard was tiny. It was 4 feet by 4 feet. You had to crawl literally on your hands and knees to get inside of it. This thing is beautiful because you can just walk right in. I made sure it's, you know, everything is 6 foot tall at least. All right, that's a lot of information. Hopefully you learned something as far as if you're gonna build your own coop, maybe some ideas that you didn't think of that you can implement, whether it's for the predator proofing or whatever. Be sure to comment if you have any questions, and I will leave you there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.